Everyone, factoring into today's video, just going to follow on a little bit from yesterday's video where we was looking at the weather for the next 8 to 10 days. Looks as though we're going to be seeing some westerly winds trying to get back in next week, but quite how extensive that is, I'm not sure. High pressure could continue quite strongly down to the south and the southwest, so westerlies may be more restricted to the north actually. But have a look at the charts in a moment. Before I go on that, to say about the ads, there's links to articles on most pages at GazWeather.com. Have a browse through the widgets, any articles that you're interested in, please click through. And you'll be able to go off and read those articles. And because you're clicking from GazWeather to where the articles are, we've got a review on what you're doing. Thanks so much for doing that. So just starting off with central temperature, see how things have panned out so far. This is from Hadley and it's provisional up to the 16th, up to yesterday, 16th of March. Provisionally we're going out at 6.3, which is an anomaly of around a degree above average. As I said, that's provisional up to the 16th of March. Now, the March month ahead forecast going quite well so far. We predicted a slightly warmer than average month, also drier than average March. I think that's going pretty well. To be honest, I'm quite pleased with how March month ahead forecast is panning out. I would expect this deviation to reduce a little bit over the next few days, but probably we're going to end up somewhere around a degree above average, something like that. So a fairly mild month, but nothing spectacular. Now we have a look at the Arctic Oscillation a few days ago. You remember it was hinting anyway at the possibility of perhaps going a bit negative, and it looks like we're going to get it going a bit negative over the next day or so, but not as much as it looked like it was going to. So this is the Arctic Oscillation of the observed and forecast chart. The black line here is where the Arctic Oscillation has been. The red lines are where the GFS ensembles are forecasting the Arctic Oscillation to go. Remember, this is an index that's reflecting the state of the atmosphere. It's not driving anything, it's an index that reflects what the weather is doing. So you can see that we've got good agreement that for a day or two this week we're going to find the Arctic Oscillation going negative just here. So that tells us we've got some blocking appearing over pole, but notice very quickly the trend is to push the Arctic Oscillation back into positive territory once again as we go through next week, and that's probably in association with the westerlies coming back. I think going to try and turn more unsettled next week, with westerlies trying to get back in, but how extensive that is down in the south, I'm not sure. But you'll see that the Arctic Oscillation has generally been very positive throughout the winter. It has been a positive Arctic Oscillation winter, which is why we've had a relatively mild winter, to be honest. So that's going on. Really slightly still dip down into negative territory this week. That's going on into the spring as well. At some point it's going to flip and we'll go negative for quite an extended period. If that happens to coincide with the summer, that won't be good news for anybody wanting a fine summer. So you have to hope that the flip doesn't happen during the summer months. At some point it will go into negative territory for an extended period. The North Atlantic Oscillation, which is really the cousin of the Arctic Oscillation, this is not reflecting the state of the atmosphere over the Arctic, this is reflecting the state of the atmosphere in the North Atlantic. That is also positive, as it has been through the winter. Again, same idea, black line where the North Atlantic Oscillation has been, and it's been generally positive through the winter. Red lines where the North Atlantic Oscillation has been forecast to go, and it's forecast to stay generally in positive territory. So it looks like westerlies are going to be coming back in through the course of next week. So the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles show that we're going to be generally around average, not deviating too far from the 30-year average, which is indicated by this thick red line just here. We're going to be a little bit above average over the rest of the working week, then going a bit below average at weekend, and sort of we don't deviate that far from this throughout. You'll notice that the precipitation spikes do come back as we go through towards the end of the month. So this is the 1st of April, just here right over at the end of the chart. You notice that for the coming week, lots of dry weather, hardly any precipitation spikes at all. But as we get through into the second part of the chart, then the precipitation spikes do come back. So that tells us it will be turning more unsettled as we go through the final week to 10 days of the month. Now, how much of that unsettled weather gets down into the south is open to question. The temperature anomaly for the coming week, 17th, 25th of March, going to be a bit cooler than average. and it's also going to be a bit drier than average through the coming week as well. So into a weekend, we've got high pressure on the generic JFS, originating in off the Atlantic. We're in this northeasterly wind on Saturday. That could bring some wintry showers into southeastern parts, so you'll have to watch out for that. But even if they do occur, it shouldn't amount to too much. Quite a chilly weekend coming up, I think, with some overnight frost. But as we go through into next week, here comes the westerlies re-establishing, but pressure's remaining relatively high down to the south and the southwest. As we go through to Tuesday, we're going to quite a chilly northerly wind for a little while, so that could tend a bit colder again through the middle of next week. Then back comes the high pressure ridging in off the Atlantic through Wednesday. That's within relatively cold air, so could be more overnight frost. And then we go through up to day 10, which is Friday the 27th of March. And look, we're still in generally a westerly flow, albeit with pressure ridging into the south, keeping it mainly dry down in the south, but most unsettled weather would be up in the north and the northwest. The ECMWF agrees with this. The weekend we've got a northeasterly wind coming in across England and Wales, in particular may bring some wintry showers down to the south-southeast. Then the high pressure builds through the country on Sunday, with risk of overnight frost. High pressure sits around through the start of next week, and then a weather system comes down through Tuesday. That could bring a band of rain, but pressure, you notice, is remaining relatively high, ridging in off the Atlantic and still sitting just to the east. So how wet it gets down in the south is open to question. And then through into the middle part of next week, we keep low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south, reverting into westerly flow, but the ridge is coming in off the Atlantic, keeping it mostly dry down in the south-southeast. That's how we end up with the ECMWF. This is for Friday the 27th of March. High pressure still close to the south, low pressure up to the north. So most of the rain, or the risk of rain, anyway, will be in the north. The driest weather down in the south. So yes, it looked like we could see a more general breakdown to unsettled conditions quite right way across the country. I'm not so sure about that today. I think it's probably going to be more to the north and west through next week that has it unsettled. The south and the southeast could keep high pressure instances going for quite some time, and it may stay largely dry down in the south and southeast. If that happens, it's going to be a very dry March, actually. It was indicated on the month-end forecast that it would have a pretty dry month. It looks like that's coming off, so it's good news for the forecast, but it's not very good news if you want some bands of rain to come through. Lastly, for next 5-day forecast tomorrow, thinking about that. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.